Welcome, everybody, to another episode of a Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi podcast. I am your host, the Artificial Dragon.
I'm your co-host, Darth Salim.
And welcome to another episode of a podcast, everybody. It will, I suspect, be a little bit late because we were kind of, Hannah had some in real life issues to work through, but,
I hurt my back.
Yeah, you've hurt your back and needed some time to recover, which is understandable, and the weather hasn't exactly been treating this side of Arizona very well recently.
No, it hasn't. It sucks. I almost slipped and fell today, too.
Yeah, that's always fun. But fortunately, today isn't as horrible. I mean, we got a little bit of a snowstorm going on, but it's more or less rain from where we are.
Yeah, we got slush.
Yeah, we got slush, but at least we have Wi-Fi right now.
Yeah, I'm happy the power hasn't gone out any time this season. But, oh god, I'm not excited if it does.
Oh, that's going to be a shitstorm when that happens. But anyway, personal things aside, I'll go ahead and go through the Patreons real quickly. So for all of you people that love supporting our content, we have a Patreon where you could go and contribute to any tier, the lowest being $2 and the highest being $10 at patreon.com/canmayo. Once again, that's patreon.com/canmayo. And where you could contribute to any amount, you'll have instant access to our Discord server where you could talk general Star Wars lore, share memes, and have a general good time, or even give shoutouts to games that you want us to play for our live streams and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we'll absolutely do your suggestions.
Oh yes, we've recently started playing SWTOR like pretty much last week right now.
We had our first live stream of SWTOR and it was chaotic, a little boring because we don't know how to really talk through playthroughs yet, but it's fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It's just something that you need to get the flow of, because before I did my podcast, I did a little bit of a Let's Play channel. It's not active right now, but I got to get back in the groove, in all honesty.
You should definitely try.
Yeah. But, I'll go ahead and give a shout outs to all of our loyal smugglers. We got White Wolves, Cameron Lee, Dr. Mboss, Gobez, Tristan H, and Irk the Turtle. Thank you all for being such loyal followers and patrons to our small community that we have in the making.
Thank y'all so much. This is awesome that this has grown so much.
Yeah, it has grown very steadily. I think we are almost at 660 subscribers right now.
Holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're just getting that much closer to 1K subscribers, Hannah.
Oh god, I can't even imagine what we're gonna do if we hit 1,000 people.
Well, we'll think of something extra special for our 1,000 subscriber specials for all of you.
We'll see. Throw ideas our way.
Yeah, indeed. And real quickly, for this month's Patreon art piece, we got Satio Shun, very sexy, Jedi Master. Download her, put her up as your phone wallpaper, make her into one of your own posters. Really good. One of my buddies really likes MILFs, so this is a dream come true for him.
Wait, have you sent me this one?
No, it's the, it's Satio Shun with, her giant cleavage,
oh, right,
remember?
Deal.
It's not February yet, Hannah, but yeah.
I heard Satine, but I thought Satine. I was like, a new Satine one?
Yeah, I think we've had
I am. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We're still in the month. Really looking forward to the future Patreon art piece, which I think you might love, Hannah.
Is it Valentine's Day themed?
I'm not saying anything for certain, Hannah.
That'd be a cool theme, though. Anyway.
That would be, yeah. But yeah, with that, oh yeah, shout out for your blog, Hannah.
Oh, right, my blog. Been kind of slowing down on answering questions because, work.
Yeah, I get you.
Not sleeping, but I'm trying, and when the motivation hits me, I usually pump out the majority of the questions that are in my inbox. So, send me some asks. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really do enjoy listening for replies from all the characters, especially that little short story you sent out a little while ago, Hannah.
Yeah, I'm trying my hand at little short stories involving their siblings, which I also made in SWTOR. That brings me up to 17 characters.
Well, I appreciate your commitment, Hannah, at least.
Thanks. Gives me a reason to keep playing the game.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
But
we're talking about...
You obviously know what today's episode is going to be about. Something that you're very excited to talk about.
Mara Jade!
Mara Jade. Probably one of the most beloved Legends character in the old EU of Star Wars.
Yeah, she is awesome. Because I've listened to Heir to the Empire, and that trilogy is she's so good of a character, and so complexly written.
Yeah, always love when Timothy Zahn makes really great characters, Thrawn being one of them, and of course, Mara Jade being another notable creation of his.
Timothy Zahn, you magnificent bastard.
Yeah, looking forward to, I hope, when we go to Legends Con, I'm looking forward to meeting him in person if he's ever
I
there.
hope so. I would love to get my copies of Heir to the Empire signed.
Memorabilia for you, Hannah.
And my copy of Thrawn.
Oh, man.
So cool. One can dream.
Oh, yeah. One can dream. So can I, Hannah. But anyway, enough about us geeking out about Timothy Zahn. But yeah, like I said earlier, Mara Jade is created by Timothy Zahn for his Heir to the Empire trilogy. And while she may have been loved by her creator and many fans, this is kind of a nice little trivia. George Lucas himself never saw Mara Jade in a positive light.
I'm really surprised.
I'm sure you are, but I'll give a little bit of context. Like, there's this little skit. Like, if you search on YouTube, there's a skit that I think is part of the special edition of the Star Wars Robot Chicken edition. And it's basically George Lucas in a room with a bunch of people, and one of the people, who obviously is not Timothy Zahn, was all like, as the creator of Mara Jade, I think we should include her into the new trilogy. And George Lucas is like, no, get out. Get out.
I'm looking for it so I can try to find it. I'll try to find it later.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but that's kind of just a parody of how George Lucas reacted to Mara Jade at the time. It's not that he hated the character personally. Of course, he was the one that signed off on Timothy Zahn writing everything about Heir to the Empire and all that.
He just kind of doesn't like her.
He doesn't like the fact that she's Luke Skywalker's wife is the thing.
I mean, she's a badass.
Yeah, she's a badass, but so according to some people, such as Pablo Hidalgo himself, who, for context, is known as the Star Wars lore master within Lucasfilm. So he's like the guy for Star Wars lore within Lucasfilms and all that.
Okay.
According to him, he disliked Mara Jade's marriage to Luke Skywalker because it contradicted the monotheistic lifestyle of the Jedi, who are not supposed to have attachments.
I mean, fair, but we kind of see this thing throughout the history of the Jedi, so it makes sense that it would kind of repeat.
Yeah, and it's also kind of contrary to the message that George Lucas was trying to convey Because the prequel Jedi, they were very rigid in their attachments and emotions and all that. But Luke Skywalker is realizing the mistakes of a Jedi Order, is trying to move forward and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, George Lucas did once again sign off Mara Jade when Timothy Zahn was writing Heir to the Empire series. So if he was against Mara Jade being a love interest of Luke Skywalker, he would have just vetoed her right on the spot.
I don't know.
But anyway,
creative differences, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
But at least we got her in the books.
That is very true, and she is a very prominent character. And fun fact, so there's this Star Wars magazine called Star Wars Insider. So there's this certain Star Wars Insider, magazine that was posted back in 1997, I believe. And they had this poll about what the top 20 favorite characters of Star Wars are. And Mara Jade, she was actually 20th of favorite characters, which I'll put in the chat right now.
Hey, she made the top 20 at least.
Yeah.
I mean, she's that good of a character.
Yeah, and fun fact, she is the only character that appeared on the list that didn't appear in any of the films.
See, that's how good she's written.
Yeah, like at the time, you probably have choices like Thrawn, Pelion, and some other characters I can't remember at the top of my head. But point is, she made it compared to the rest of more memorable characters.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, as you could see in that description, there are like several quotes on why fans love her. Yeah.
I can fly anything. She always has Luke's lightsaber hanging off her belt.
Yeah.
By far one of the coolest characters to ever be associated with Star Wars. See?
Yep. Yeah, she is pretty cool. I mean, like, when I was starting to get into Star Wars lore back in the day, I kind of had mixed opinions on Mara Jade. But I think I slowly started warming up to her. And it's not besides the fact that she's also a fellow redhead. No, it has nothing to do with that at all.
You just admitted you're a ginger.
Yeah, that is true. Fun fact about me, everybody. I was, I still am a ginger, but my hair is starting to become lighter.
Like, yeah, she is just so fucking cool.
Yeah, she is pretty cool. And I'll give you a fair heads up, Hannah. I will be talking about Mara Jade past Heir to the Empire, so I might be providing a couple of spoiler warnings here and there.
That's fine. I read the majority of the stuff on her Wikipedia page anyway.
Yeah.
And boy, is it long.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of books that I don't have time to read.
Yeah, that is very fair. And yeah, she kind of trumps Padme and Qui-Gon in that regard.
Dude. And Padme's was like, what, 4 pages?
Yeah, my notes on Padme were like 4 pages. But Mara, I don't mean to get sidetracked, but my pages for Mara Jade are like 6 pages long.
Jesus.
But yeah, I'll go ahead and stop prattling on. And once again, for all the viewers, I'm not going to go through every intricacy of Mara Jade and her story. I'm just doing the important highlights here and there.
And boy, howdy, there's a lot.
Oh, yes. But yeah, before we get started, I actually have a nice little quote that I want to share about Mara Jade.
All right.
Many people, when they become sick, retreat to their childhood and being helpless. They abandon who they have become and their place in the web that is the Force. Then the disease severs those final connections and they die. As long as I'm fighting, I'm not dying.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, which really paints Mara Jade as this really determined, rarely backs down from a fight sort of female character.
Yeah, she is. That's why I say she's badass. She's not afraid to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I really appreciate. As you said last episode, a lot of female characters in the old Legends EU of Star Wars are so well written.
Yes, they are.
But yeah, so let's go ahead and get to Mara Jade's life.
Yes.
So, yeah. Mara Jade was born 2 years after the end of the Clone Wars, which is 17 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Okay.
And as we can see with a lot of Star Wars characters, it wasn't exactly known who Mara Jade's parents are or what her original homeworld was, as she herself remembered little of her childhood before her service to Palpatine. Though there are some things that she remembers before being brought under the service of the Empire and all that. Mm-hmm. She did recall one memory where she had a falling star globe and had gotten into trouble when she broke it to, see how it works and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a very inquisitive child back then before her service to Palpatine and all that.
Cute.
Yeah. Mara Jade would be taken to Coruscant, where she was taught the ways of the Force by Palpatine himself. Sorry, when am I getting the sexes mixed up? Anyway, and she would be officially known as a dancer within the Imperial Palace, which is obviously a huge cover and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And, funny enough, many of Palpatine's inner circle did not know who Mara Jade was, as they assumed that she was simply one of Palpatine's concubines.
Yep, they thought she was just a slave girl.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
Good cover.
It is a very good cover. And yeah, she would serve as basically a undercover dancer within the Imperial Palace for a majority of her life. And then, well, we know her other side as being Palpatine's personal assassin and all that.
Yes.
So Mara Jade would receive training on the Force by Palpatine. Her skills was developed through an intense regiment by the Imperial Royal Guards. And under their tutelage, she would learn the arts of espionage and assassination, skills of which she was adept by the age of 14.
Nice.
So, yeah, she...
Basically Black Widow.
Yeah, I was about to say, she's basically Star Wars Black Widow.
But more awesome and less self-sacrificing.
That's also very fair. Well, that also kind of depends, but we'll get there when we get there. During one particular test, she was tasked by Palpatine to break into Tarkin's personal quarters by dressing up as a formal guest. And then, when she's blending into the crowd a little bit more, she feigned illness to get away from the other guests during the party. And then she would break into Tarkin's quarters and all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she would be ambushed by several droid bodyguards, and she obviously made quick work of them. And after the test was over, Palpatine and Darth Vader just reveal themselves. They were apparently hidden behind a nearby curtain or something like that. And Vader himself...
That is so stupid.
I know, it's like a comic. I'll have to see if that actually happens. But point is, it's a test, and Darth Vader voiced his... how impressed he was with this new assassin. And, Mara Jade would kneel to Palpatine, and he would proclaim her his Emperor's hand.
Awesome promotion.
Very awesome promotion. And of course, we know later down the line, she wasn't the only Emperor's hands, but for all intents and purposes, she thinks she's Palpatine's personal assassin.
Yes, like he deceived all of his other assassins. And
yeah. classic Palpatine, being the mastermind.
Eating gold fuck.
Yeah. Though, despite this deception, she and Palpatine had a legitimately close bond. Like, Palpatine was basically the closest thing Mara Jade had to a father figure throughout her entire life.
Yep, you could see that in Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, and whenever she was out on assignments, they would have this close force bond where she would hear his voice telekinetically from anywhere in the galaxy, and through this connection she would carry out numerous missions such as the assassinations of corrupt Imperial officials, traitors, and among others deserving of death and her judgment.
Nice.
Yeah,
yep, I remember that mentioned several times in Heir to the Empire.
Oh yeah, and she was treated extremely well by Palpatine to the point where he legitimately gave her vacations.
Yep, saw that too.
Yeah, which is very atypical of Palpatine, knowing that he loves electrocuting the living fuck out of Darth Vader as his spare time.
Dictator, evil bastard.
Yeah, classic dictator stuff. But yeah, Palpatine did have a little bit of a favoritism towards Mara Jade. Like, for example, during a particular Imperial ball, Palpatine was kind of talking to the head of Imperial intelligence, a woman by the name of Aizan Assard. And Aizan Assard is kind of an interesting character. We'll eventually do an episode on her, but she is... let me go ahead and pull a picture of her. She's an alpha bitch, to put it simply.
Wasn't she mentioned in the Pelion episode?
Yeah, she was one of the important figures I mentioned in the Pelion episode, and she was one of the quote-unquote successors of the Emperor after he died.
Okay.
Yeah, Assard is... she's the classic control freak because, she's the head of Imperial intelligence. She wants to know everything about everyone.
Obsessive much? Very
obsessive. Like, she noticed this random dancer who, obviously being Mara Jade, she tried doing a background check on her and she found absolutely nothing on Mara Jade.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
especially for a cover, but damn.
Yeah, and she brought these concerns to Palpatine, like, we don't know anything about this young dancer. Are you sure that we should be trusting her? And Palpatine, he obviously didn't want to say, oh, that's my personal assassin, blah, blah, blah.
Well, duh.
But Palpatine straight up said to her face that, where was it? He simply said he feared no such betrayal from Mara Jade. But then he turned to Assard, and he outright said, but he feared betrayal from her more than Jade.
Damn.
Yeah, he straight up went up to the head of a literal intelligence of the Empire and said, I fear you betraying me more than my personal dancer over there.
That knowing that type of personality that this woman has, she would definitely try and dig deeper.
Oh,
damn,
yeah.
What a heavy fucking line.
Yeah. At this, Asane was fuming, and she had an eternal grudge against Mara Jade for the rest of her life.
Well, grudges are motivation, so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and she absolutely made no secret of her hatred towards Mara Jade. But that'll come later in Mara Jade's story. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mara Jade would even have her own apartment that she would, go back and relax at in between missions. And she even has her own large collection of weapons, her own personal ship, and a protocol droid named K-Free.
I think they mentioned that in Heir to the Empire. Can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it if he was there somewhere. But I'm not going to go through everything that Mara Jade has done under the Empire, but I'll give you a couple of neat little examples.
Please don't, because we're going to be here for hours if you do.
Oh, yes. We'd be here for literal hours, but I'll go through the important ones. Mara Jade actually had a hand in finding some older survivors of Order 66.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's this one comic book series where Mara Jade personally hunted down this Order 66 survivor by the name of a Dark Woman. She's fairly interesting, and she wanted to go out and kill her, but Darth Vader was like, no, you're not experienced enough to face the Dark Woman. I'll take care of her myself.
Makes sense that he would. Because he's ill as fuck.
Oh, yes. And, I believe after the Battle of Yavin and after the destruction of the first Death Star, Palpatine kind of had trust issues with his enforcer and supreme commander of the Imperial Army, Darth Vader. And he would task Mara Jade with basically spying on him.
Mm-hmm.
And Vader would do his thing. Mara Jade was just kind of shadowing him from afar, detecting his or following his every move. And there's a couple of interesting things where she secretly grew envious of Darth Vader, sensing division within him and his growing obsession towards the young rebel pilot known as Luke Skywalker, which she didn't exactly understand at the time.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and through these operations, she secretly hoped that Darth Vader would outright betray the Emperor so that she would have an excuse to kill him and later take his place as Palpatine's apprentice.
Like I said, the way the Sith lives on.
Yeah, and Mara Jade, she wants Daddy's approval, so it makes a good amount of sense.
Cool.
But yeah, so following the Battle of Hoth, Palpatine grew more worried about Luke Skywalker as a threat to his future plans and probably motivation for having Darth Vader betray his ass and, you gotta keep hold of your power and power over your apprentice and all that stuff. So he would so he got some intel that, not intel. He obviously knew that Luke Skywalker would want to go to Jabba's palace to recover Han Solo, who's currently carbonite, all that fun stuff. So he sent Mara Jade to infiltrate Jabba's palace undercover as one of his newer dancers. And I'll actually send you a picture of Mara Jade in her dancer outfit. There we go.
Nice.
And she would go undercover as the dancer named Arkia.
They mentioned this in Heir to the Empire. I think it's a flashback.
Oh yeah, it's a very important part of the Heir to the Empire and why she was was very close and assassinated Luke Skywalker anyway.
But she didn't. Several times.
Obviously. So, she was kind of undercover for several days as one of Jabba's dancers. But then eventually, one of Jabba's security details, who was, quote-unquote, the dance choreographer, got very suspicious of her. And she tried to detain her, but Mara Jade obviously got out of there and went through several maintenance tunnels to try and avoid Jabba's security. And she briefly saw Luke Skywalker fighting Jabba's Rancor. And by the time she, lost her pursuers, "Please don't leave me behind, I'm one of your dancers, let me go with you." But Jabba,
Yeah, she said that she was, begging to go.
Oh yeah, and Jabba was really sus of Mara Jade, and he gave her a speeder and told her to never return.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
And
at least he gave her way out.
at least, unfortunately, Mara Jade would be forced to, board the speeder, go back to the Imperial Center, and back to a very displeased Palpatine.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, there was like a vision that Luke Skywalker saw that had Mara Jade been present during the Sarlacc pit, she would have been successful in preventing his escape.
That's an awesome continuation of the what if.
Yeah, I always love what if stories, and I think I remember a small clip I saw on YouTube of a anime version of Luke Skywalker's vision. But yeah, even though she kind of failed in her mission, Palpatine would be like, okay, whatever. I'll deal with Skywalker later. I'll give you a different job. And Mara Jade, she would be tasked to eliminate the founder of the Black Nebula, which is a sub-faction of the Black Sun, fun fact.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and she would obviously be successful in this endeavor, and Palpatine, very pleased with his personal assassin actually, accomplishing her mission, gifted her with a vacation. And, Mara Jade would go out on her vacation, but she could not shake this feeling that her recent assassination mission was too easy. Surely there were enough bodyguards to give her trouble, but she just waltzed right in and basically killed the guy without a issue.
Mm-hmm.
And, Mara Jade, she decided to set up a simulation. And she determined through these simulations that 3 out of 5 times, her attempts would succeed in killing the leader of a Black Nebula. So she was all like, okay, through her deduction, she found that this might not be the actual target I'm after. This is a cleverly placed decoy. I need to reach out to Palpatine and share my suspicions with him, blah, blah, blah. That's what
Goddamn, she is so fucking smart.
Yeah, she's been at this for, 21 years at this point? So she knows what she's doing.
That's another thing I love about her.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when she telekinetically reached out through the Force to share her suspicions with Palpatine, she instead, witnessed Palpatine's death by the hands of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader.
And it's still haunted her.
Yeah.
Through Heir to the Empire.
Oh, yeah. And here is this really cool picture of her witnessing the death of the Emperor.
Cool.
It is really cool. And yeah, the last word that the Emperor would say to Mara Jade that reverberated throughout the Force would be, "You will kill
Luke Skywalker."
Yep. And she was just overcome by the agony of witnessing the death of her father figure and would pass out on the ground in a very dreamlike state for several days.
Damn.
And during this time, she would be apprehended by Imperial intelligence and would be taken to a Zane herself.
Okay.
And, Emperor dead, what's stopping her from doing whatever she likes to the person that Palpatine trusted more than her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Asara Sade wanted to use Mara Jade's skill as the Emperor's hand to ensure her new rise as the Emperor's successor. But obviously, Mara Jade did not want to be part of that, and she effortlessly escaped captivity.
Well, duh.
Yeah, Mara Jade is pretty badass doing the
She's like, nope, getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, she pulled a motherfucking Batman on the head of Imperial intelligence.
I think the Wi-Fi is going out.
Oh boy. Well, anyway, and after that...
Sorry if it's, fucking up.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'll do what I can. But yeah, after that, she would go undercover as a waitress, and by pure coincidence, she would stumble upon fugs of a black nebula. And long story short, she was able to redeem herself in completing her original mission before she would go into hiding from the very government she once worked faithfully for.
Okay.
And for I believe the next couple of years, her hatred toward Luke Skywalker burned her deeply, though she remained unaware that Palpatine's words were basically the driving force of her thirst for vengeance, even though it was way more than someone of actual vengeance would work towards. It was basically Palpatine's command word.
Yeah. I mean, I remember in The Last Command?
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll get to that. I don't want to spoil.
yeah, I got you. But yeah, point is, even though she had this driving force to fulfill the last words of her father figure, she once upon a time had the resources and the weapons of the entire empire at her fingertips. But now all of that was taken from her as she remained on the run from Azard's agents, scrapping by through manual labor and odd jobs. So yeah, she went from luxury to rags essentially overnight.
Yep, she hated Luke for ruining her life.
Yeah, unintentionally, but it's understandable.
Very understandable.
Yeah. Fortunately, her fortunes would finally turn when she, saved a particular smuggler. And I'm pretty sure you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Talon Karrde!
I really need to get around to learning more about Talon Karrde because he does sound like an interesting character.
He is. He really is.
But yeah, like Mara Jade would save Talon Karrde. Talon Karrde would take Mara Jade under his wing as part of his smuggler's crew, blah, blah, blah. And
eventually became his lieutenant.
Oh, yes. And fast forward to Heir of the Empire. Talon would stumble upon Luke Skywalker's X-Wing that was stranded in space. And after they found out the identity of a pilot, Thrawn had posted a bounty on Skywalker's head, and Talon was just, going through his head what he should do about Luke Skywalker. Either A, hand him over to Thrawn and get the bounty, or extort him and have the New Republic pay him the bounty, blah, blah, blah. Just all of these dollar sign moments for Talon Karrde over here.
Mm-hmm.
But Mara Jade, she wanted to kill Luke Skywalker.
Of course she did.
Yeah. And eventually, Luke Skywalker, he would escape Talon Karrde, and Mara Jade would go after him on the planet down below. But they were kind of forced to work together because Thrawn was on the planet. And, they wanted to avoid detection and not expose Talon Karrde, because if Thrawn knew that Talon Karrde was harboring Luke Skywalker, then he would probably die by his hands.
Yeah, and they still figured it out.
Yeah. There's no way you're gonna hide anything from Thrawn.
Nope.
But obviously they didn't know that.
But Pelion also helped narrow it down.
Oh yeah, Pelion is also pretty smart, as much as
yes, he is.
Yeah. But anyway, point is,
that episode.
Yeah. Point is, you probably know the rest. Luke Skywalker manages to give a fuck out of Dodge. So did Mara Jade with Talon Karrde before they got stranded by interdictors. Blah blah blah. That sort of thing.
Yes.
But
Breed Heir Empire.
Oh yeah, and let me see. And eventually down the line, Thrawn became interested in hunting down Talon Karrde's smuggler organization, and, she grew to love, not exactly love, but she appreciated Talon Karrde and the crew for being the only family she's ever had, besides Palpatine and all that.
Yeah, that's what makes Karrde a cool character. He looks out for Mara.
Yeah. And she would eventually go to Thrawn, turning herself in as the Emperor's hand, and offered the location of a katana fleet to Thrawn. And in return, he would leave the smugglers alone. Even though Thrawn accepted, he planned on double-crossing her anyway and placed a tracker on her ship that led him back to Talon Card.
A badass line from that book. This is not the Empire you know anymore.
This is not the Empire.
Something along that line.
Yeah, especially coming from...
basically asserting his dominance, and it was so fucking good.
More fucking Thrawn T-posing for dominance over Mara Jade.
That was just such a good line. Read the book. It's so fucking good. I'm not kidding.
I will eventually do that. You know, it will actually be kind of fun to do a book club episode on the Heir to the Empire.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Thrawn takes Talon Card, and Mara Jade is forced to find Luke Skywalker, because even though she's a master assassin, she knows she alone cannot break Talon Card out of custody of Thrawn and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she eventually finds Luke Skywalker, who is being trained by the Dark Jedi Jairus C'baoth. And, you know, she was able to tell him, hey...
Jairus C'baoth.
Jairus C'baoth. Okay. I probably pronounced it
differently.
C'baoth. God damn you.
Oh my god, that pronunciation.
Well,
Jairus C'baoth.
Oh, the Jairus.
We mentioned him in the Thrawn episode.
Yes, we did. His original form, because this is the clone version of that guy. But anyway,
plot twist, this one's a clone.
Yeah, he's a pretty insane clone for
he's
sibling.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he was training Luke Skywalker. Mara Jade comes in, being all like, hey, this guy is actually pretty evil. He's not a real Jedi.
But Luke is like, I can heal him.
But yeah, point is, she managed to, get Luke Skywalker to work with her and infiltrated the Chimera and broke Talon Card out of custody.
Which was an awesome plan.
Oh, yeah. And then afterwards, she proved instrumental for the New Republic because she knew the location of the Emperor's cloning facility on Wayland.
Yep.
And yeah, through her experiences with Luke Skywalker, Luke Skywalker was providing her insight on Palpatine, and he started to realize that it wasn't out of her own volition that she wanted to kill Luke Skywalker, but instead the telepathic command of Palpatine that compelled her instead of her own free will and all that.
Yeah, that was a cool, character growth point in the book.
Yeah, it really was. And then, down the line, she eventually rejected the dark side, and she found her own destiny in the galaxy. At one point, I believe she becomes one of the commanders of a Smugglers Alliance, I believe.
I think I remember skimming over that, but I can't remember.
Yeah, but anyway, that's not too important.
Remember, highlights.
Yeah. I really like this one quote I found where she finds out about she wasn't being the only Emperor's hand. And let's see. Where was it? I thought okay, I pretty much lost it. But she pretty much called Palpatine a sniveling parasite.
Oof.
Yeah, when she found out she wasn't the only Emperor's hand, she outright rejected Palpatine and called him a sniveling parasite.
Damn, she was very mad, but understandable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And when the news of Palpatine returning in his clone body during the Dark Empire series, she at first didn't want...
so that takes place after Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, it does.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Mara Jade, when she found news of Palpatine coming back, she at first did not want to believe that Palpatine returned. And Palpatine, wanted to retrieve her and punish her for her treachery.
Okay.
And she would have help with Kyle Katarn. Kyle Katarn is another prominent EU character. We'll eventually talk about him one of these days. But there's a old joke where Kyle Katarn is basically the Chuck Norris of Star Wars.
I've heard him mentioned someplace. Can't remember where. I mean, aside from your example.
Yeah, Kyle Katarn, he's kind of a motherfucking badass. Like, there's a joke of a Kyle Katarn shaving his beard with a lightsaber.
What the hell?
I know, he's one of those kinds of people. He's kind of a badass, but in an over-the-top kind of way.
Oh, Lord. Now I gotta look at him.
Oh, he is awesome. He's got the best beard hair ever. But
anyway.
But yeah, continuing on, she has frequent missions alongside Luke Skywalker. I think she and him find Thrawn's clone and eventually kill him and all that fun stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, after the signing of the Pelion-Gevzeran Treaty, which is the document that ended the Galactic Civil War, Luke would propose to Mara Jade when they were on vacation together.
Okay.
And Princess Leia would announce the wedding between the two, which was taken in by the press as basically a symbol of Imperial and New Republic unity. Like, very political, when in reality it was true love between Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade.
Yeah, but of course, the media will be the media.
Media will always be the media. And additionally, C-3PO became involved in planning their wedding, which resulted in a very grandiose ceremony, much to Mara Jade's chagrin.
Fucking C-3PO.
Like, one of these preparations would be Mara Jade taking numerous dress designers and picking one which one would make her wedding dress. Like, there were a lot of designers, like a literal line leading up to the apartment she was staying at.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And she, became really tired because, she's going through designer after designer. None of these designs really impressed her. So she decided to just sneak out and have a breather from all of that stress.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And while she was out walking, she came across a Twi'lek dress designer named Jerikin, who originally was going to show Jade her own design, but when she showed the designer to her employer, they basically laughed at the design and fired her off a spot.
I remember reading this.
Yeah.
It's the dress she chose.
Yeah.
It was really pretty.
Yeah, it was really pretty. Oh yeah, I gotta show not exactly the wedding per se, but here's a Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade, obviously in love.
That's sweet.
It is Luke so sweet.
Luke deserves a love interest.
Oh, yes.
Hers, Luke needs his.
And yeah, before the actual wedding ceremony, Luke and Mara would have their own private Jedi wedding ceremony. And the two of them, as part of this union, the two of them would connect two halves of a crystal together as a symbol of their union.
Ooh, that's cool.
It is very cool. Oh yeah, a couple of things I forgot to mention earlier. She eventually joined Luke Skywalker's Jedi Praxium, becoming one of the first initiates of the new Jedi Order.
Nice.
And she also had to give up her duties as a commander of a Smuggler's Alliance to commit full time to the Jedi Order and spending time with her husband.
Who'd she put in charge?
Oh,
Does it say?
I think it was Talon. I think, yeah.
So he just took it back.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, I don't want this anymore. Okay, I know.
And yeah, they would have a nice little romantic honeymoon together. And yeah, Luke, along with Mara Jade, would go on several missions together. And they would, I really need to read those stories where they're husband and wife. I would imagine they would have a lot of good banters together.
I'm sure.
And
I want to read those now too.
Oh yeah. And one of these missions was them investigating the outbound flight, which, if you recall from the Thrawn episode, is the project that was meant to take the Jedi to the unknown regions, basically.
Which Sabayoth was a part of.
Yep, and Thrawn...
The original!
Oh yeah, the original is Sabayoth. But...
And Thrawn was the one attacking, remember?
Yep, because if they went out there, that'll basically provoke the Yuzhing Vong to attack the galaxy early.
Watch the Thrawn episode.
I really love listening to that
episode.
Go
into deeper detail with that one.
Oh yeah, I love listening to old episodes every once in a while.
Me too.
But yeah, there was one mission that Mara Jade undertook where she was a bodyguard for a minor diplomat on this random world, not really relevant, but she would be witness to, or she was the victim of one of the preludes of a Yuzhing Vong war. So she was basically at this ceremony where they would proclaim a new king and all that. One of those nobles was an undercover Yuzhing Vong agent who secretly infected all those at the ceremony with a deadly bioagent.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is where it gets weird.
And the bioagent killed all of those present except for Mara Jade, who was able to resist the disease.
Shit.
Yeah, she was pretty...
How was she able to? Because she was force sensitive?
Yeah, she used her powers in the Force to stave it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, damn.
Yeah, and she was like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah,
Yes, understandable reaction.
Very understandable reaction. So just to give you a little bit of context, this bioagent would be called the comb spores. Basically, these things would enter into the victim's body, and it would slowly break down their molecular structure and cause agonizing pain. And at most, it would kill an individual within a few days. But Mara Jade, she was one of the only survivors of his biotoxin.
Damn.
But
Yuzhing Vong just got a lot more scary.
Oh yeah, the Yuzhing Vong are terrifying, Hannah.
They're very terrifying.
But yeah, eventually I wouldn't say the Yuzhing Vong war happened immediately, but Mara Jade would go out on a mission to figure out some suspicious activity that's going on at the edge of the galaxy and all of that. And Mara Jade would be the first Jedi that fought a Yuzhing Vong warrior.
Nice.
Yeah, and here's this badass artwork of her fighting the warrior.
God, I love the way her hair looks.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fitting for her.
It's so flowy, too. It looks so gorgeous.
And the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
It is so cool. I love Legends art. They are so cool.
Moving on.
But yeah, she would fight this warrior whom she determined to be her equal in combat, and she was kind of pushed to the edge of her abilities when fighting this normal Yuzhing Vong warrior.
Oof.
And she had to end the engagement quickly by stabbing the warrior through the heart.
Okay.
And it's also kind of an interesting encounter because as the warrior lay dying, he proclaimed Mara Jade to be a worthy warrior.
Wow.
And it was actually the very first taste the Yuzhing Vong had on how skilled and dangerous the Jedi would be.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Now,
now I need to read that part or those books.
Oh yeah,
damn.
Yeah. The new Jedi Orders.
So much money on audiobooks, dude.
Oh, my wallet is already screaming, Hannah.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, anyway, so I'm not gonna go through everything Mara Jade has done in the Yuzheng Vong War because that is an entire novel series by itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, she kills the first Yuzheng Vong warrior. So you remember the biotoxin she was that she survived?
Yes.
That spore is still within her body for the past 2 years, and she's continuously fighting it off during that entire time.
Oof.
And let me see if I can find it. So eventually, she and Luke Skywalker would, do the business in the middle of a Yuzheng Vong war. And she was actually pregnant right dabs in the middle of a Yuzheng Vong war.
I did see something on Tumblr of all things about Mara Jade, is that she and Luke had used all kinds of protection and preventatives to not have a kid.
Yeah.
And the Force fucking willed their son into existence.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Something funny I saw.
Yeah, I would not doubt that at all. Of course, I didn't go that much into detail. It'll probably be important when I talk about Mara Jade's son, but that's beside the point. So there was this one occasion where she was chilling on the artificial beach on Coruscant, and she would slip into unconsciousness. Then she would find herself awake in the care of a medical droid, and felt the disease attacking her unborn child.
Oof.
And
not good.
Yeah, she was just fading in and out of consciousness, doing everything she can to make sure that her child within her womb didn't get hurt by the disease she's carrying in her body.
Mm-hmm.
And she would be taken aboard this, so for context, the Yuzheng Vong invaded Coruscant by this time, and Mara Jade had to desperately get the fuck out of Dodge along with Luke and the others. So they would be taken to this Star Destroyer called the Errand Venture, which is the only privately owned Star Destroyer in the entirety of the galaxy.
Wow. I can't believe they survived that long.
Oh, yeah. And with her condition started to worsen as, she was taken to the medical bay to be operated on. In a desperate attempt to purge his wife of a disease, Luke Skywalker called upon the dark side, but before he could enact this, he was stopped by Mara Jade, who told him to calm down. I know you're worried about me, but let me take care of this. And Mara Jade called upon the light side, and she managed to completely purge the disease from her body, and immediately went into labor after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hell of a build-up.
It was hell of a build-up. She was holding out, making sure that her child did not succumb to the disease, and she managed to do it. And then, oh boy, I have to do the labor now, crap.
Ugh, Lord.
Yeah, you thought Padme had it rough. She doesn't have shit on Mara Jade.
During Leia's birth of Jason and Jaina, she was having visions and connecting with them through the Force.
Oh, yeah.
And that was weird enough.
Yeah, despite the attack on her body by the disease, she was able to give birth to her and Luke Skywalker's first child, who is Ben Skywalker. And that's what he looks like.
Pretty average looking.
Yeah, he's pretty average looking. I also kind of find it hilarious that the
so much better than fucking Kylo Ren.
Yeah, like I said, I find it hilarious that Ben Skywalker is the offspring of Luke Skywalker, while Ben Solo is the offspring of Solo. They just switched the names around.
It was so stupid.
Yeah.
I would have wanted to see this and the Solo twins instead of fucking Kylo Ren.
Oh, poor Kylo Ren. Poor Kylo Ren.
No offense to the actor, but just, oh my god, Kylo Ren sucks. He's an edgy boy.
Oh, yeah, he is absolutely an edgy boy, Hannah.
Well, it is the Sith,
Yeah.
so you have to kind of be edgy.
Yeah, it comes with a territory, but anyway.
And he wasn't even fully Sith, which is stupid.
I know.
Anyway.
But yeah, for a good majority of the Yuzhang Vong War, Mara Jade would be kind of out of commission, trying to take care of her new child, though she did occasionally engage in missions while having Ben Skywalker being taken care of by a nanny droid.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so after they managed to beat the Yuzhang Vong during the final battle of Coruscant, she would become elevated to the rank of Jedi Master.
Nice.
And she was given her very first apprentice. And you want to know who her first apprentice was?
Jaina Solo.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember that. Jaina Solo, her niece, became her very first apprentice.
Yeah, I like that. And then Luke trained Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Going into Jason and Jaina Solo is going to be an entire episode all on its own.
That's going to be a very long episode.
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely. And I'm just taking a cross. Keep back. I have other more important fish to fry.
Oh god, it's going to be... Okay, we're going to put that with the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
In the we'll get there pile.
Indeed.
But anyway.
But yeah, so in between the Yuzhang Vong War and the Second Galactic Civil War, we'll eventually get into that, but there's the Dark Nest Crisis and eventually the Swarm War. Basically a point in Star Wars history where the Killiks return and they declare war on the galaxy.
Interesting plot point.
Yeah, and
that actually sounds pretty cool.
It does.
I like the Killiks.
Yeah, the Killiks are pretty cool. I would love to talk about them in a very new episode, but we'll get there when we get there. Point is, one of the plots that the Killiks tried to do was put a divide between Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker by giving the implication that Mara Jade assassinated Luke Skywalker's mother when he was really young.
You mean his aunt?
Padme is what I mean.
Oh.
Yeah, Mara Jade would be the one that assassinated his mother.
That's... Okay.
I know, it's one of those,
That's kind of a bullshit excuse. Or a bullshit lie.
I know, it was just a kind of point of contention, because, well, Mara Jade is...
It was poorly written, honestly.
It probably needs... Anyway, it probably needs greater context because I didn't properly research this, so I'm probably not doing it great justice, but I just thought I'd throw that out there just in case.
Yeah, if anyone listening actually knows, like, more about these books than we do, please let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
I don't mind spoilers because that's a lot of books, a lot of money that I don't have.
You know, that's fair, Hannah. But anyway, ultimately the point was, R2, there's a really good video made by Eckhart's Letter where he briefly talks about when Luke Skywalker goes through the holo recordings that R2 made of Anakin and Padme's conversation in Revenge of the Sith, and in this particular plot point, R2 would be the one to clear Mara Jade's name by showing how Padme actually died.
Damn.
Yeah.
He'd been holding that for how long?
Over 20 years at this point.
Jesus.
Yeah, R2 is a he loves
R2
keeping a secret.
In clutch.
Yeah, R2 coming in clutch. But other interesting things during this entire thing, like when R2 was playing the recording of Padme being choked by Anakin and all that, Jason Solo, he kind of reacted very coldly to this because he was all like, oh, he's doing whatever he can to ensure safety and prosperity across the galaxy, blah, 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 that sort of thing.
By choking your wife?
Probably not at that certain point, but point I'm trying to make is that Jason Solo has become very jaded from his experiences of in Yuzhang Vong War and doing whatever he can to ensure that security and prosperity radiates throughout the galaxy and all of that.
Fair. Okay.
But yeah, and at around this time, Mara Jade became really suspicious of Jason Solo because, for context, Jason Solo is basically Ben Skywalker's master.
Okay.
And it was also kind of ironic because Mara Jade entrusted that Jason Solo would properly teach Ben Skywalker the ways of the Force because Jason Solo was a really powerful Jedi at this point.
Wahaha, he's evil.
Wahaha, we're not quite on that part yet, but anyway. Where was I? But yeah, Mara Jade was seeing her nephew growing more aggressive and apathetic, and how it is influencing her son, Ben Skywalker. Because she's starting to see the parallels between Jason Solo and Anakin Skywalker that she saw on the holo recordings of R2 and all that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so she's one of the... Sorry, go on.
Like I said, she's smart.
She is very smart. But anyway, we're going into the very important event. During the Second Galactic Civil War, she and Luke Skywalker would confront a fellow Emperor's Hand. And this Emperor's Hand, she's a really significant figure in the old EU of Star Wars. She goes by the name of Lumia. And I'll send you a picture of her. Yeah, Lumia is she is an interesting character, to say the very least.
Interesting outfit.
Yeah, Lumia, she was one of Luke Skywalker's first...
Is that a vibro whip?
Yeah, she has a vibro whip.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah.
My favorite weapon.
Yeah, so for quick context, Lumia was kind of one of Luke Skywalker's old flames when she was an undercover agent for the Empire.
Okay.
So she and Luke Skywalker kind of have a history together.
Oh no, my 7 evil exes.
My 7 evil exes, pretty much, yeah.
Good God. They were starting to run out of content.
But Lumia, she just reemerged and proclaimed herself as the Dark Lady of the Sith, like Darth Vader was the Dark Lord of the Sith before her.
Oh, so that's where I knew I had seen Dark Lady of the Sith actually be a thing. I just didn't know this was her.
Yep,
cool.
She's the Dark Lady of the Sith.
Inspiration for my name on the Discord.
Yeah. But where was I? Okay. So yeah, Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade would have several confrontations with Lumia because she was essentially the big bad that just reappeared and is causing trouble throughout the galaxy and all that fun stuff.
Okay.
And throughout their confrontations, let me see. Eventually, Ben Skywalker would one day just disappear, and Mara Jade suspected that Lumia may have had a hand in kidnapping him, and she went out to try and find Luminara and kill herself.
Lumia, not Luminara.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I was gonna say,
wrong one.
50 years too late.
I know. But eventually, Mara Jade, she would get the jump on Lumia where they have this really intense duel that left both of them heavily injured. Like Lumia, she was badly injured from several lightsaber slashes of Mara Jade, and she would get a bruised eye, a slit lip, burned neck, and a bleeding forehead.
Oof.
Yeah, she went through the ringer in retrieving her son from Lumia.
Mm-hmm.
And then she finds her son, and Ben Skywalker basically informed his mother that Jacen Solo became an associate with Lumia.
Okay.
So basically they were in cahoots, and Mara Jade was starting to connect the dots. And
Master and apprentice.
Yeah, and her greatest fears have been confirmed, and she felt betrayed by the one she trusted to look after her son.
Understandable.
Yeah, very understandable. And upset with his dark revelation, she would attempt to find Jacen Solo and talk him down to return to the light side first. But he was kind of deep into it at this point, and he was ignoring all of her warnings at this point. And this made Mara Jade realize that Jacen Solo was too dangerous to be kept alive.
Ooh, coming to the realization you have to kill your nephew.
Oh, yeah. And she followed Jacen Solo to Hapen Space, where they would engage in a brief dogfight, which resulted in the both of them crash landing on a nearby world.
Yeah.
And basically, I kind of listened to this brief insert, but basically, Mara Jade would engage in this cat and mouse game with her nephew by luring him into some tunnels.
Okay.
And, Mara Jade, being the master assassin that she is, she purposefully picked these tunnels because they were confined enough where Jacen Solo could not swing his lightsaber around easily.
Yet another example of why I love this woman.
Yeah, she's
so goddamn smart.
Yeah, she's pretty badass. And she was able to set up a trap for Jacen Solo. It was pretty much pitch black by their perception, but Mara Jade was able to gain the upper hand against Jacen Solo by activating a trap that collapsed the ceiling on top of him.
Okay.
And there's this brief insert where Jacen Solo was just crippled under this pile of debris, and he was reaching out with his hand towards Mara Jade. And I believe the words that he said to her was, "Tell my mother that I failed her." And Mara Jade pointed her blaster at Jacen Solo and basically said she already knows.
Oof.
And
that sucks.
Yeah, and Mara Jade, she kind of realized that Jacen Solo was kind of luring her in, giving her a air of mercy, but she was like, nah, I'm gonna not fall for that. And she pointed her gun at Jacen, planning to execute him right then and there.
Hey, it's a deviation from the trope of believing it, so.
Unfortunately,
again.
Jacen Solo was not gonna die that easily, and he used a force wave to push the debris off of him, along with Mara Jade, sending her flying back into a stone wall.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, after that, it became a fight for survival as Mara Jade equipped herself with a vibro knife and a lightsaber shoto, and she started cutting down Jacen Solo, basically putting him on the defensive. And since he can't properly defend himself with his longer lightsaber, she was basically doing a battle by 1,000 cuts to her nephew.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, she's
the lightsaber, the Shoto lightsaber design is really cool.
Yeah, it's basically just a shorter lightsaber, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Anyway.
But yeah, as Mara Jade, basically, even though Jason Solo had superior force abilities, like in the insert I was listening to today, basically it said that Jason Solo was superior in the power of the force, while Mara Jade was a better acrobat, basically. She was basically a normal ass person in comparison to Jason Solo, but she is just cutting him down like a motherfucking champ.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually she was able to disarm Jason Solo of his lightsaber and managed to pin him down onto the ground.
Now is she gonna kill him?
Well, she was... Okay, so basically, Jason Solo is doing everything he can to make sure that his aunt doesn't kill him right then and there. Like he's basically pulling at her hair, trying to push him off of her, trying to reach for his lightsaber, absolutely everything he can to prevent her from killing his ass.
Well, yeah.
And eventually, Mara Jade manages to take her knife up and is about to plunge it into Jason Solo's neck. But Jason Solo, realizing that the reason why Mara Jade is fighting so aggressively was because she had the priority of defending Ben Skywalker from him. And using this to his advantage, he pulled so basically in this instance, Jason Solo would have easily died by Mara Jade's hand, but he pulled the dirtiest trick in the book.
What'd he do?
So he projected a force illusion of Ben Skywalker's face above him.
Oof.
And Mara Jade just stopped instantly, only for a couple of seconds, but that's the time that Jason Solo need to use his wrist-mounted poison dart and shot at Mara Jade's hip. And Mara Jade was poisoned with a particular poison that gave her a quick yet painless death. It was basically game over for her.
Oof.
And as she lay dying before Jason Solo, who basically confirmed her suspicions that he had fallen to the dark side and is secretly becoming this new apprentice to Lumia, Mara Jade would look into Jason's eyes, and she basically said, "You're as vile as he is." And Jason Solo asked, "Who?" "Palpatine."
Oh, that was a badass final words, but does she actually die?
So her actual final words as she slowly succumbed to the poison was, "You think you've won, but Luke will crush you, and I refuse to let you destroy the future for my Ben."
Oh.
And yeah, she does die, unfortunately.
At least she went out fighting.
She
and being a protective mama bear, and I love it.
Yeah, she absolutely went out in a blaze of glory. She would have absolutely killed Jason Solo right then and there. He was basically fighting for his life at that point.
Oh, right in the feels.
Yeah, and in the middle of this confrontation, Jason Solo came to the realization that this confrontation with Mara Jade, his aunt, was the final tipping point, the final step in him embracing the dark side and becoming a Dark Lord of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And with the successful death of his aunt, he was proclaimed Darth Caedus.
Oh, that's how he got his name.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Fortunately, though, Mara's death would ripple throughout the Force and was felt by all the Jedi in the galaxy. But Luke Skywalker in particular was particularly shaken by his wife's death.
Well, of course.
And here's a really funny yet so in line with Mara Jade's character. Mara Jade would just leave her body behind instead of allowing it to become one with the Force, in hopes of investigators using it as evidence to figure out who her true killer was. And as sort of something for her family to say goodbye to.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and she used her remaining strength in the Force to whisper to her son's mind and raffle through Luke Skywalker's hair, just showing her love for the both of them.
Aww.
Yeah. And eventually investigators did find her body, and, they would undergo autopsy, figuring out the cause of death, and they arranged a funeral for her, attended by the entire Jedi Council.
Nice.
Yeah, let me actually send you...
It's sad that such a badass character has to die.
Yeah, unfortunately, but you gotta do what you gotta do to progress the story. But yeah, there's that picture of a funeral for Mara Jade and all that fun stuff.
Rest in peace, you amazing woman.
Yeah, and Jason Solo, who was still under the disguise that he's still a Jedi and never fell to the dark side, he would actually arrive late to pay his respects to his aunt. Fortunately, the moment he arrived, Mara Jade's body would finally fade into the Force itself.
Okay.
And this was noticed by Ben Skywalker, who kind of suspected that it was basically a sign by his mother that Jason Solo had something to do with her death.
How he deduced that, I don't know.
Well, when you're the son of a secret agent like Mara Jade, everything happens for a reason.
All right, anyway.
But yeah, Mara Jade, the death of Mara Jade would cause Luke Skywalker to believe... Okay, so Luke Skywalker obviously took it the hardest, and he believed that the murderer of his wife was Lumia herself, which is technically true since Jason was her apprentice, and she probably encouraged him to kill her in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time both Luke and Lumia fought, Luke... he was holding nothing back. Like, Luke, he's usually the sensible one. He's always, trying to redeem people, give them chances. Classic Luke stuff. In this encounter, he held nothing back. And he would actually kill Lumia with an instant decapitation.
Oof.
Yeah. But long story short, Ben would actually find evidence that Jason killed his mother through hair samples that was found on Jason's starfighter and all of that stuff.
Okay, actual investigation.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And he actually encountered Mara Jade's Force Ghost a couple of times, where she mouthed the words,
"Yes,
I
they
love
became
you."
a Force Ghost. That's awesome.
Yeah, she would actually appear a couple of times to Luke Skywalker to comfort him in his grief and everything.
Aww.
Yeah, it is so full of heartwarming.
Sweet.
So even beyond the grave, she was comforting her family and giving the middle finger to her enemies.
That's awesome.
And yeah, okay, so, do I have anything else? No, I do not, actually. So, both Luke Skywalker and Ben Solo would go on this personal journey to try and figure out why, Jason Solo turned to the dark side and all of that. And in this journey, they would ride around in Mara Jade's personal ship called the Jade Shadow, and this is what it looks like.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's got a badass ship.
I like it.
Yeah, and the ship was a way of reminding them of a woman both of them had lost.
Aww.
Yeah.
Heartfelt memorial.
But yeah, that is the story of Mara Jade. Probably one of the most badass, loyal, and committed characters in the entirety of a Star Wars Legends universe.
Yes. Like I said, so much better than Rey.
Yeah, many leagues better than Rey.
So good.
Yeah,
No words.
yeah, even though it was...
Her death was sad, but still, she was a badass until the end.
She was a badass till the very end. Oh yeah, I also almost forgot. She became a member of a Jedi Council around that time too.
Oh, cool.
So she went from a mere assassin of Palpatine's and became a member of a Jedi Council under Luke's Jedi Order. So that's pretty freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
She really went full circle. She probably has...
That's good character development.
She's got a lot of good character development. She's explored very deeply. Of course, there's numerous novels exploring her character and everything. But yeah, I've grown a good soft spot for Mara Jade in this episode. She's a pretty cool character. She's smart, she's skilled, and she knows exactly what she's doing. And she's very loyal to her husband.
Yeah. All around amazing character.
Yeah, Mara Jade is the perfect waifu, in all honesty.
I think this may be the first woman I sent for.
Oh, really?
I have nothing bad to say about her. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is really amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have about Mara Jade. Kind of a shame that Disney did not do anything with her character, but you know, it's completely fine.
Fuck Disney.
It's completely fine. Her story is utterly complete in the Legends universe of Star Wars, so I have nothing to complain about.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is our episode of Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi? Or in this case, oh my god, a waifu we could all sim for.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, so Hannah, you want to guess what our next episode is going to be about?
Is it who I think it is? Or is this something else?
Okay, it's not a character, but who were you thinking of?
Talon Card.
Talon Card, okay. We'll eventually get to Talon Card one of these days. Exploring his character will actually be pretty interesting, but we'll get there when we get there, I suppose.
It was just an idea I gave you. I thought you were going to use it next.
Yeah.
But what are we covering?
All right, so for the next episode, I think it's high time that we also return to major factions in the Star Wars universe. And in our next episode, we will explore the Grand Army of the Republic.
Nice.
And in better context, we will be talking about the Clone Army.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a popular one.
Yeah. I think it's high time that we talk about the good boys of the Clone Wars. All the memorable characters. Yeah, it's going to be fun talking about the clones, the Kaminoan clones in general.
Oh yeah.
But
that'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, and holy shit, this recording is over an hour and 30 minutes long.
Always the long episodes.
Oh man, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with this episode, and I hope you appreciate learning more about Mara Jade's story.
Hell yeah, I did. That was so good.
It was so good, and the way that if there was one lightsaber duel I wish was made on screen, the duel between Mara Jade and Jacen Solo would have been perfect.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome.
It would have been awesome, desperate, and heartbreaking at the same time.
Hey, you're an aspiring director.
Not wrong there, Hannah. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of a podcast and learning more about Mara Jade.
Mara Jade.
Yeah, we'll eventually talk about Jacen Solo one of these days. I don't know when,
we just need to talk about the Solo twins, period.
Oh yeah, Hannah. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and as usual, we'll see you next time. You have any closing statements, Hannah?
May the Force be with you. This is the way.
Indeed.
Let's hope we survive this winter.
Oh boy, winter is coming. But yes, may the Force be with you, and this is the way. Bye-bye.
Adios.